There are only 5 races left until NASCAR's playoff field is set. And those 5 tracks cover every discipline that the NASCAR Cup Series races on. First up at Indianapolis, a 2.5-mile oval track, then to Iowa for some short track racing, Watkins Glen, a little road course action, another short track in Richmond, and then finally the regular season finale at Daytona, a 2.5-mile drafting pack racing style track that anyone can win. In this video, we are going to go over the 24 drivers who are not currently locked into a playoff position, talk about their seasons and their best finishes at these 5 tracks in the next-gen car, and see who has the best chance of making their way in. First off, I wanted to take a quick look at the 12 drivers who are already locked into the playoffs. We're going to talk more about these guys in depth in the playoff preview video that's going to come in a few weeks, but for the time being, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, and Josh Berry are all already locked into the playoffs thanks to their victories this season. There are 4 positions up for grabs, 5 races. Technically, we could see 5 winners in 4 races. That would knock out one of Josh Berry or Austin Cindric. I don't think that's very likely, so I think it's fair to say these 12 drivers will be racing in the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series Playoffs. Alright, let's move over to the line and take a look at the drivers fighting for those final 4 positions. First up, we have Tyler Reddick. He is currently top 5 in points, 156 to the good on the cut line here. I think it's going to be pretty impossible for Tyler Reddick to miss the playoffs this year. 5 top 5s, 8 top 10s. For him to miss, we would really need to see 4 different winners in these 5 races. I doubt that happens. Taking a look at his best results at the 5 tracks coming up, I should mention this now before I talk about it on every single one of these. Indianapolis and Iowa have only had 1 race in the next-gen car, so anytime you see a result that's a little bit poor, that's because they've only had 1 race there, so 1 accident, 1 mechanical failure, that could really skew the results on Indianapolis or Iowa. Reddick finished runner-up at Indianapolis last year, 22nd place at Iowa, that's the only finish not inside the top 10, a 7th at Watkins Glen, a 3rd at Richmond, and a 2nd at Daytona. Honestly, I could totally see the 45 winning his way, and he's been a front-runner this year. So I think that 45 car will be racing in the playoffs this year, just a matter of where he ends up getting seated depending on how many more winners there are this season. Next up, we have another driver who is currently top 10 in points, Alex Bowman, 9th in points, plus 63 to the good, 5 top 5s and 11 top 10s. The 48 is having a very good season this year, top 10 in points. I know he's not maybe hitting the highs that the other Hendrick cars have had this year, has not won yet, but he has been a constant in the top 10. Some good tracks coming up for him as well here. He ran 31st at Indianapolis last year, 8th at Iowa, 14th at Watkins Glen, but we do know he is a winner in the next-gen car on a road course / street course if you count Chicago, 8th place at Richmond, and then 2nd at Daytona. I also think the 48 is probably in a pretty good spot here as long as there aren't many new winners. I would expect him to continue running near the top 10 and earning good points, stage points that will keep him above the cut line here. I don't really think Alex Bowman is in threat here, plus 63 to the good. Chris Buescher, also top 10 in points. He is 44 to the good. Same amount of top 10s as Alex Bowman, 11 on the season. Just 3 top 5s though. Now take a look at this. He finished 22nd at Indianapolis last year, 18th at Iowa, has won at the other 3 racetracks in the next-gen car, including last year at Watkins Glen. Of course, winning at Richmond when he went back-to-back Richmond and Michigan, and also winning Daytona in 2023. The 17 is another car that I don't really think is in danger of missing the playoffs here. Again, top 10 in points. 3 very good tracks for him coming up here. I expect to see the 17 in the playoffs come September. Alright, moving right to the cut line, we have Bubba Wallace in the 23 car, just 16 points up on the cut line, currently 13th in the regular season points, 3 top 5s and 7 top 10s. 23 car has not been finishing races very good, has been earning a lot of stage points. Finished 5th at Indianapolis last year, they're definitely going to need to replicate that this weekend. 17th at Iowa, Watkins Glen at 12th, we know road course racing has not been his strong suit. 4th at Richmond and then 2nd at Daytona. So some good results on some of these tracks coming up for Bubba Wallace. The big thing for the 23 car is just not DNFing in any of these 5 races. Already 6 DNFs on the season. Can't afford another one here, especially in the push to the final playoff spot. 16 of the good, couple decent tracks coming up. Gonna have to watch the 23's performance here. He is definitely closest to the cut line, plus 16. Anything can happen with this final position. Moving to our first driver under the cut line, that is Ryan Preece, 16 points back of Bubba Wallace for the final playoff spot, but he is 14th in points, so he would be in the top 16 if it was only points, but there are some winners below 16th that are knocking him out. Only 1 top 5 on the season, but 8 top 10s. Preece seems to always be in that 11 to 15 range if you're watching the ticker at the end of these races, so not getting the top 10s to back it up, but a lot of very strong results with some good points. He is new to RFK Racing this year, so some of these results were with previous teams. Been running very strong in the 60 car. Struggled at Indianapolis and Iowa last year, finishing in the mid-20s both of those races. A 9th place at Watkins Glen. Has a 5th at Richmond in the next-gen car. Has struggled at Daytona finishing races, though 23rd is his best finish. If you're Priest here, you really need to have some good runs at Indianapolis and Iowa. We don't know what's going to happen once we get to the road course. If you're Priest, you definitely want to be near the cut line entering Daytona. Anything can happen there. I still think there is a path for this 60 car to point his way in. Heck, I mean, one good race where he earned some stage points over Bubba Wallace and they'll flip. 60 car is definitely in it to point his way in. Not many guys are in this position, so if you're the 60 car, strong finishes, finishing the races, and getting some stage points will very much help them here. 15th in regular season points, but 39 points back of the final playoff spot. Kyle Busch, 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s. Did not run very well at Indianapolis or Iowa last year. He was with RCR, but has a good finish at Richmond and Daytona. Middle of the pack at Watkins Glen. I do think the path is there for the 8 car to point his way in. Definitely needs to have some strong top 5 runs at Indianapolis and Iowa, though. He's been flirting around 40 to 50 points back of the cut line for the last few weeks, so needs to make a big push here in these last couple races. Same thing with Priest. You don't really want to be right on the line going into Daytona. You either want to be above it or way below it, so you know you either have to win or you can take it easy. Being in a position where he'd be 15, 20 points back going into Daytona is probably the worst case scenario. Nonetheless, the 8 car definitely does still have a path to point his way in, but I think that's going to need to be decided in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I think by Richmond, you're either going to know, okay, he has to win a race, or he's going to be able to get there in points. We'll see how it shakes out for the 8 car. 2-time champion, right? You can't count him out here. All right, despite being 52 back, 16th in points, Ty Gibbs, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s, this 54 car has really come alive in the summer months here. Didn't have exceptional runs at Indianapolis or Iowa last year, both finishing in the 20s, but has a top 5 at Watkins Glen and Daytona, and a top 10 at Richmond. But this 54 car has had a lot of speed the last few weeks, a couple 3rds and 2nd places. I could honestly see the 54 car winning his way into the playoffs at this point. I think any of these guys near the bubble, the 54, has shown the most race-winning speed in the last few weeks. They've definitely caught up to what the other Joe Gibbs racing cars had. He definitely did not have that starting off the season. He had a tough start to the year, but if he was running this way all season, he would definitely be in a playoff position. So I think the 54 car does have a chance of winning one of these races and getting himself in that way. 52 points, that is a lot to come up. Again, you would probably need a situation where Bubba Wallace and Ryan Preece both had bad days here. Ty Gibbs running for $1 million this weekend in the in-season challenge and has a playoff position that he's within reach of, right? So there's a lot of things going on for the 54 car right now. Good runs at Indianapolis and Iowa will tell us where this 54 car stands. 77 points back and the top Spire car in points. He is 17th in the regular season point standings right now. Michael McDowell, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. Another guy who is with a new team. He was not with Spire on any of these results on the list. Look, 16th at Indianapolis, 23rd at Iowa. Watkins Glen, he has won a next-gen road course race. He won the final running of the Indianapolis road course. 6th at Richmond, and we know he is a good pack racing, drafting style track driver. 7th place at Daytona. Of course, he did win the 2021 Daytona 500 back in the Gen 6 car. McDowell's a guy, could win the Glen, could win Daytona. Who knows what happens here at the 71 car. I think he is a little far back to point himself in at this point, but a couple good tracks coming up for him. Who knows what happens at those 2 tracks. I think McDowell is a sleeper to win his way in at Daytona as well. To stay on the topic of guys who have won in road courses in the next-gen car, AJ Allmendinger, 18th in regular season points, 80 back on the cut line, 1 top 5, 5 top 10s. 2nd place, his best finish at Watkins Glen. Of course, he did win at the Charlotte Roval in 2023. 6th at Daytona, does not have a good result at Richmond, and only 1 run in Indianapolis and Iowa last year. DNF'd in both of those races for the 16 car. Again, 80 points back. He's not in the position to point his way in here. I think he does have a chance at Watkins Glen, and you never know what happens at Daytona. But keep an eye on that 16 car, especially on the road course. 20th in regular season points, Eric Jones. He is 89 back on the cut line, 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s on the season. Has not had many good results at Watkins Glen, Richmond, or Daytona. Struggled at both Indianapolis and Iowa last year. Tough hill to climb for the 43. Again, he is one of the guys that's going to have to win his way in. I don't really see it being possible at any of these tracks. I think there are some better pack racing drivers who are still on this list who would be ahead of Eric Jones for winning at Daytona. I don't see the 43 car making the playoffs this year. Top 20 in points, though. Legacy has really turned a page this season. I think that's a solid goal for them, though, finishing top 20 in points. If you're Jones in the 43, you definitely do have something to race for here down the stretch. And who knows what happens with the point reset. You're not very far back from who's going to eventually be 17th. That is definitely in play to be the top car not in the playoffs. 43 car Legacy Motor Club running very strong this year. Do not see a playoff appearance coming for them, though. Speaking of Legacy Motor Club, we have his teammate, John Hunter Nemechek, 100 points back, 21st in regular season points, so both of these cars are almost inside the top 20 in points. 1 top 5, 6 top 10s for John Hunter Nemechek, of course, just making it to the Final 4 in the in-season challenge. Has a top 5 at Daytona in the next-gen car. Nothing else is very significant, though, to mention here. Like Jones, I think you're just trying to finish top 20 in points. Nemechek has definitely turned some heads this year. I think a lot of people would look at him differently if he didn't go up to the Cup Series with Front Row Motorsports. If he was a guy who just came up, in 2021 where he went to the trucks, Xfinity, and out of the Cup, I think people would look at him a lot differently. People remember, I guess, the GMS and the truck days with him. Nemechek is definitely a guy who's going to be contending here inside the top 20 in points, so good year for this 42 car. Same thing with Jones, who's trying to get this thing in the top 20. 108 points back, 23rd in the regular season points. Ricky Stanhouse Jr., 1 top 5, 3 top 10s. Had a solid 5th place run at Iowa last year, but if you're Ricky Stenhouse Jr., you have Daytona circled. Of course, the Daytona 500 winner in the next-gen car. That's his best chance, that 47 car. If he's not damaged, he will be in contention at any pack racing track. I know there was a lot going on with the 47 car in the offseason, new ownership, team name change. For him to be top 25 in points right now is pretty significant. Hopefully those guys can have a good run at Daytona and make things interesting for the playoff picture. 112 points back, 24th in points. Zayn Smith, the top Front Row Motorsports driver. I don't know if anyone really saw that coming into this year. After how part of last year went for him at Spire, they figured it'd probably take some time for him to adjust. Has been very strong here at FRM, the lead car. 3 top 10s on the season. I don't really see a playoff position in Zayn Smith's future, at least this season. Has a top 5 at Watkins Glen, but hasn't run very well anywhere else. I think his second year in the Cup Series, first year with a new team, especially Front Row Motorsports, that just expanded to a 3rd car. If he can finish 24th in points, I think people are going to be pretty happy with that, especially at the shop. So I think Zayn Smith, his goal is to just keep riding where he is right now, putting together good races and being around at the end of them. Some of you might be surprised that we had to wait so long to talk about this guy, Carson Houser. 25th in points, 125 back. He definitely peaked a few weeks ago. I mean, it was looking like he could even win a race. That has died down a little bit. 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s on the season. Has a 3rd place at Watkins Glen, a top 10 at Richmond. Maybe something happens at the Glen. He's another guy who could be in contention at Daytona. But for me, the 77 car just needs to continue to put together full races. They've had periods where they've gotten a lot of stage points and then phased out towards the end. 77 car in a good spot. I mean, it's only his 2nd season in the Cup Series, top 25 in points. Would like to probably be closer to that top 20 mark, especially how things were going for them a little bit earlier this season. They were in the playoff picture on the bubble at one point. Carson Houser, 125 back, a good 2nd season in the Cup Series, but I do not see a playoff appearance this year from him. Another one that is probably surprising to wait so long to see, Brad Kazlowski, 140 points back, 27th in the points. However, 2 top 5s and 5 top 10s, they have improved since the start of the year. They had a disastrous start to the season. A guy who you can never really count out at Daytona. I mean, he has a 2nd place there, top 10 runs at both Iowa and Richmond as well. They were talking about this on the broadcast. They did have to move a lot of people around when they started that 60 car for Ryan Preece, including Brad Kazlowski losing some guys. That's a huge team owner decision to make sure that the organization is running good. I know it probably hurts right now to see how good that 60 car and the 17 car are right now. He is a little bit behind them this season. I think the big thing for them, we all saw how tough 2022 was for the 6 car, and then they ended up winning their way into the playoffs in 2023. I think that's the same situation here. They're just kind of rebuilding things right now. They just expanded to 3 cars, but 2026, I think the 6 car is going to be a lot more competitive to start the year and at least be in the playoff conversation at this point. I do not see it in 2025. This one is definitely a bit of an anomaly. 147 points back, 28th in points. Dillon. No top 5s on the season, just 3 top 10s. But looking on the right, he has 2 wins in the next-gen car at tracks coming up here. We all know how the finish at Richmond went last year. He didn't get playoff eligibility for that. But if that late race caution didn't come out, he would have won that race. People seem to kind of forget that. Also has the win at Daytona. I guess a sleeper pick for someone who could win one of those 2 races. I don't know how much The setup will transfer from last year to this year. You can never count him out at Daytona. So Dillon does have wins on some of these tracks to maybe have hope of pushing himself into the playoffs. We'll have to see. But top 20s everywhere. He finished decent enough at Indianapolis and Iowa last year for the first visit. Not a very well-known road course racer, just a 17th at Watkins Glen. If you're Austin Dillon, you have both Richmond and Daytona circled here, hoping you can make some magic happen for this 3-car. 29th in points, Daniel Suarez, minus 159. Been a tough year for Daniel Suarez. We all know he is not going to be in this car next year. Just one top 5, 3 top 10s. But when you look at the list on the right, he has a top 10 at every single track that we're coming up on here. Indy, Iowa, top 5 at Watkins Glen. Of course, he is a winner in the next-gen car on a road course at Sonoma. Richmond and Daytona. Again, I don't really see the 99 car having race-winning speed and winning his way in, but you can definitely have some good runs here and move yourself up towards the points. I think it'd be pretty disappointing to end this close to 30th in points, only 29th. If you're the 99 car, you're just trying to put some good runs together and show yourself off for next year. Hope a seat becomes available. I would hope to see Daniel Suarez still on the grid. We'll see what happens in the offseason, but if you're Daniel Suarez, 159 back, not a playoff driver this year. Moving to Todd Gilland now, the driver 30th in points. Just one top 10 on the season, but he has top 20s at all of these tracks. He did not race at Iowa last year. Look, if you're Todd Gilland, I think if you win this in-season challenge next week at Indianapolis, you can wipe your hands clean. I mean, that's probably all they're really going for at this point in the year. Do not see Ty winning his way into the playoffs or anything like that. Of course, he has never won a race in his career. Some good top 20 runs moving your way into the 20s in points would be helpful. I think if you could just mimic all of these results on the right-hand side of the screen, the 10 car is going to be pretty pumped. That'll move them a bit up into the middle 20s in points. I think that's really all that's left for the 10 car this year. Winning this in-season challenge would make or break the season for Todd Gilland. Tied with him in points, Justin Haley, 163 back. Just one top 10 on the season as well here. Again, finishing around 20 on most of these tracks. Definitely a weird situation this year with Justin Haley. I think there was so much hype and excitement after how well he ran with Rick Ware's stuff last year. Hasn't quite translated over to Spire this season. I don't think he's at risk of losing his ride or anything like that, but you definitely want to start putting up a few more top 10s before the season ends. McDowell and Hocevar both have a couple more top 10s than him at this point in the year. So if you're Justin Haley, you're not really worried about winning right now. I think it's just about getting a couple more top 10s and setting yourself up for 2026. 32nd in points in the 34 car, 167 back. Todd Gilland, 2 top 10s on the season. Strong run at Indianapolis last year, 6th place. Finished around 10th at Iowa and Watkins Glen. Has not had a good finish at Daytona. That's definitely something that's going to turn around. He has had decent runs at some of these pack racing style tracks. Bit of a regression from where he was last year for sure. I'm not sure what changed in terms of personnel between him moving from the 38 to the 34, but whatever he had that was clicking was lost in that translation. I like Todd. I definitely think he has a place on the grid. Same thing as Justin Haley, though. You're just trying to get into the top 10 a few more times this season. Again, the results that are on the right-hand side of the screen here, if you can mimic those runs, I'm pretty sure the 34 team will be pretty happy. Just get yourself set up for 2026 at this point. The third Front Row Motorsports car, Noah Gragson, 229 back. He is 33rd in points. 1 top 5, 3 top 10s. Some pretty decent runs he's had at some of these tracks. 9th at Indianapolis, 16th at Iowa. Ran pretty good at both of these tracks last year. And 11th at Watkins Glen. 12th at Richmond and 5th at Daytona. Again, should mention these results were with Stewart-Haas Racing or Legacy Motor Club before he moved to Front Row Motorsports this year, so a different team. I don't want to just echo the same thing over and over again, but if you're Gragson, you just want to put together consistent runs, get yourself through this year, and maybe start off with some momentum going into 2026. Again, the 4 car is one of the teams caught up in the current charter controversy. Will they lose them? Will they be able to run charter for the rest of the year? Best thing to do to keep that noise out is to have solid runs. 4 car Noah Gragson, maybe another top 10 or 2 to get to 5 top 10s on the season. I think that would be pretty successful for that group with their first season together in 3 cars at Front Row Motorsports. Just a few points behind him, Cole Kuster, 237 points back, 34th in points, 1 top 10 on the season, did not run Indianapolis or Iowa last year, has a best finish of 11th at Watkins Glen, 16th at Daytona, and 22nd at Richmond. Definitely disappointing what's happened to Haas and their team here. We know Kuster has talent. I mean, he's won in the Xfinity Series, won a championship there. Things just have not clicked for him at the next-gen level in the Cup Series. I know there's some uncertainty with some of the 2311 and Front Row Motorsports charters, but as it stands right now, the 41 would be one of the bottom 3 charters, I think if you're Cole Custer, the big goal is just to move out of that window. You don't want to be on that list. Pass a car or two in the points, get yourself out of the bottom 3. That's probably the goal for Cole Custer here going into the final few weeks. 35th in points, the 35 of Riley Herbst has not run at Indianapolis, Iowa, or Watkins Glen in the next-gen car. 33rd place finish at Richmond and has a top 10 at Daytona. If you're Riley Herbst, the goal is just to get a top 10 before the season ends. I don't know if that happens at Daytona, if that happens at Talladega maybe. I think that's really the goal here. It's been a tough rookie season for Riley Herbst. Just getting on the board with the top 10, that's probably the goal here in the remainder of this season. He's had some decent days where he's finishing the teens, has quite a few 17th place finishes this year, but you really don't want to have a donut in the top 10s category, so I think that's probably the main priority for the 35 to finish off his rookie season. We know Shane Van Gisbergen is going to win Rookie of the Year by virtue of moving into the playoffs and finishing at least 16th in points, so that's kind of out of the question for the 35 as well here. Don't want to keep repeating it, just need to get a top 10. And over 100 points behind that 352 back of the cut line, Cody Wear, 36th in points, 0 top 10s, 0 top 5s. Look, it's cool. This is the first time all 36 charters have had full-time drivers. There's always been a couple, whether they were Spire cars, Rick Ware cars, even Premium Motorsports cars going back, that have had rotating drivers in them, so it's cool. We have 36 charters, 36 full-time drivers. You have to admit, though, a big step back for Rick Ware. I know Justin Haley chose to move on to Spire. They had some really good runs last year in that 51 car. Cody has not ran at Iowa. 34th, his best finish at Watkins Glen and Richmond. Does have a top 5 at Daytona, you got to give him credit for that. He's 100 points back from the next guy in points. This car is going to finish dead last in the owner's points in terms of chartered cars. Who knows, there is some outside noise going on with this 51 car and Rick Ware Racing as a team. They said they were going to sell to someone, and then they said that they were going to sell the charters, then they were going to lease charters. Who knows how that all happens? I'm not going to cover another episode of NASCAR until that stuff is more finalized. Again, like Riley Herbst, you just want to get on the board, get a top 10 this year. That's pretty much all you can ask for this 51 car. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we have an exciting run down to the playoffs here, 5 more races. I almost don't even know if I want to wish for another winner, because then that's just going to move the cut line even further, and we're probably not going to have many points battles. I think the best points battle is going to be between Preece and Wallace here. Who knows what happens? Going to be fun to watch. Hope you enjoyed.